决胜图。
The only person that can really do that effectively is Breach because he flashes for them and he sets them up to swing. And so having a look, it does look like he's back on the Breach. And so gonna help his team try to find those early picks with those rotations. They are on attack. Tom hit the nail on the head there. That was some of the best ascent that we've seen out of Fish123, especially when they were on the attack. Let's see how they do, or if Nip will be able to answer back for it with some of these early pushes.
第一分这边是上半场第一分是 Fish123做进攻，防守方是拿了 Reyna 的 NIP 来了。Reyna 对 Breach 两边突击手的区别，其他位置完全一样。这两个队伍基本上来说，对于地图的理解和就阵容的理解差不多，唯一的区别就是 Hip 拿什么样的一个位置。这次应该是 Scream 拿突击位了吧？我刚才没看到。现在都叫 Swede， 现在都叫 Swede， 没区别。B 窗打掉，这 B 门打掉啊，这个 B 转中转 B 的门给打掉。这边是 Korea 的 Omen， 在第一盘居功至伟，在第二盘努力 carry 没成功。Echoes。要打 A 小吗 ？A 小这边 Lucker 带了很多技能啊，拿了去把 Glock， 他连甲都没买嘛，兄弟 ，Glock 也不买半甲，他就为了买全道具，一个抢两个球全买了。这边 Korea 外压非常漂亮，一个1打2 ，Lucker 这边直接把锁起来，哎，可以的，你淹，我直接关门。这已经5打3了，得益于 Korea 那个先手人头。加包，位置拿到，知道你在什么位置，但能不能打得过是另外一码事情啊。拉克还是把 Link 打掉了，这次让 Link 回去打 Sage 了，回到正常位置。Scream 的 Breach 也被换掉，那这样的话，最后一个没什么机会的1打3、1打4，其实是换掉了一个，但是马上被电死。然后第一分是 NIP 拿下，得益于 Korea 的在 AY 的一个非常精彩的 AY 的对枪。
More copy pastas than if Kinko's opened an Italian restaurant, as they just go nuts, spamming them all day long. There's a variety of copy pastas too. It's actually quite fun. Waiting, I know eventually the mods are going to strike. We're going to hit emote only mode. Yesterday, you guys were bad. Behave. NIP, they win the pistol. Are they going to be able to find the follow-up? Because we've seen at times the second round on this map quite difficult for a lot of teams to convert on. As
we'll see the 一个电弩，
frequently
这分
they get that spike plant, and that's what we have. So we have
这分 Fish123 强起了，丢了第一分 Fish123 是强起了，我不知道起了几把。其实发现解说比赛很容易说几把，音调一定要对。 你总不能说解说个比赛说几不说把，那也太难了。关 A 门 ，A 小的门关了，然后 A 大淹掉，撤到点内面。A 点是留了2个人在 A 点蛋顶上面，这2个人死守反差不多。B 点也是留2个人，然后有一个人是在 A 小做策应和机动。开飞机，这边飞机是开到 A 小，然后往 A 小外面探，但是对面是4个人在 A 大。 带包在 A 大，飞机没有拿到任何信息啊。拉克在不停的小跳，反复试探，反复，这不是横跳，这是竖跳。为什么要故意吃个？你不能从左边丢这个丢这个球吗，兄弟？对枪，但是队友死了，没机会，血缘太低了。菲尔斯在头上，哎，菲尔斯是个 Stinger， 这个 Stinger 未免有点太难用了，想跑先跑了。 3打4的回防，把这个门先破了。当然这一分，我觉得Fish123起了，确实也挺出乎意外的，就想要强拿这一分，大概意思就是，风险也很大。这边高点有个 Omen， 远点 A 大有人啊，这个探测器好像没探到，黑不直接下去杀一个，哎，没有机会拿球好像。索卡斯1杀2 ，Stinger 打了一个，马上换枪。 1打1啊，1打2，那感觉机会不大。哎，这2个方向都有人 ，Scream 过来直接打掉。1比1，这个分数Fish123的起枪取得了效果，我只能说。
brought themselves to the table. They forced up, they bought the weaponry, and they made NIP really throw for a loop there.
Solid play coming in from Fish123, exactly what we talked about coming into the round. Those force buys on this map in specific can be very difficult to deal with. Fish123 plays it beautifully. They get onto that A site and they prevent the defense from being able to retake, so we will see a full save come out from NIP. They're not going to fire back with a force buy. We've seen that at times where it's like force trading, back and forth, until eventually somebody wins 2 in a row. Not going to happen here. Instead, they're just going to 5-man stack the B site where there is a tripwire down. So if they decide to push
这个防守要突出去
any
啊。
further forwards, they'll shoot that tripwire and that'll tip off Cryptics.
但是对面已经丢了 BY 的半线了，这个就很尴尬。
The entire defense building a wall of pistols inside B main, but Fish123
我只能说对面只要不打 B 就没问题。这边站了一排，就那种古代枪兵，你懂吧？不是，就那种火枪时代，碎发枪时代，就对面骑马冲，然后这边就成排开枪，一排站一排那种。
The Sova is now starting to peel off, and the rest of the team is starting to go in a similar
感觉不太对劲，
direction.
快跑，快跑，快跑，快跑 ！A 点空了。
But a counter
金刚方的无人机已经把 A 摸完了。
make sure that no one can pick them off from spawn makes them wonder if they are going to be moving over towards this B site. But again, in reality,
我怎么感觉不一定会去啊 ？A 小各种刷死点，那其实一个人都没有。Scream 已经回头了 ，Scream 意识到自己前面根本就没有人，所有人都在屁股后面。哎，这个位置 Scream 被侧脑打了2枪，但问题不大。 打了2枪，但是都是致命枪，两边对穿。Echoes 打了1个，致盲这个位置，拉克起点，但是 Hip 被打掉，换头啊！这个大枪的优势还太大了。我感觉 Fish123 也要让1追2了呀，难受。 大家的规律都是一样的。
Sick enough to have a sneeze ready. Instead, they'll just take him out with a good old classic Spectre. It's another round on the board here for Fish123. And now NIP, I kind of wonder where their economy is. Scoreboard, of course, when that pops up, will give us the information that we need in regards to that. And it is looking like they have finally the credits to spare. Lucker on a deep investment. Operator, no armor, and likely not all utility either. So
那这一分起，刚才毕竟是 E 啊 ，NIP 这边起大本。 下血本，拉克是一把裸体打局，钱全花完，所有人看拉克的，拉克的 A 小准备去看 BY 应该是，但是他不敢直接干出啊，而这边已经禁闭了，其实已经禁闭大了。这个位置，拉克尔，基点上马上要出现一个人。哎，拉克尔，看到半个头，快跑，快跑，快跑！快跑！两边都吓了一跳。拉克尔贼心不死，再来架。但感觉对面要闪 RA 了呀。 拉克尔感觉味道不对，快跑，快跑，快跑！点上还有一个 Feroz 的 Phantom。拉克尔基本上认定对面要打 A 小和 A 大，被白，拉克尔什么都看不见。哎呀，这一波被对面闪直接 rush，Scream 这个闪和队友的配合非常漂亮。场上的2把枪并没有发挥出来效果，我感觉 NIP 要崩了。这一分如果 NIP 丢了就要崩。打一个 ，Hip 吸一口。哎 ，Socas 这个露半身我没懂啊。下完包之后突然往后退了2步，感觉在仰头吸气。传射没传到，强破掉。Cryptic 想露头。 致盲，哎呀！但是 Cryptic 就点头，太漂亮了。Hip 下来也被 Cryptic 单掉，哎呦，3比1，这是2-3，打掉了对面这个大枪局，那对面将会再次 ECO， 也就是4比1之差。So Fish123 are starting the same dominant fashion, or starting rather in the same dominant fashion as maps previous.
Retaking sites on this map really sucks for the defense. There's so many positions to clear out on the A site, and the B site is just choke point city. You've also got the capability to spam the wall over towards the door switch. So it's just not ideal. And if you continue to lose site control, you're going to continue to bleed rounds because it is just oh so hard to get back in. The Marshall picked up here by Korea. Firoth with just a pistol.
传言
1, 2, 3 have NIP yet again.
但这一分对于 NIP 来说很难打啊。他们选择这次没有堵在，全部堵在 B， 而选择3B 两 A。但是手枪局，上头没看到，但是这边 Korea 在 A 大已经被端掉了。A 大有个队友，但是这一轮拉克是没有复活的，有复活也不会拉。感觉要打 B 了呀！只要把拉克位置洗了个鸟局，裸体鸟局。 枪头能赢，好吧？2枪头把对面这2个人都耍掉，然后脚枪拉人，对吧？我已经想好这个剧情了。但是对面过来的不是2个人怎么办呀？哎呦，对面1万个人过来，没有机会。自己离头还有10万8千里，对面直接甩掉一头。那这样的话 ，Firos 这边压力很大。有甲，但是是一把 USP， 对面都是大枪。 Firos 直接被白 ，Hip 也帮你白 ，Hip 白到一个，杀到一个，哎，但是 Firos 在点上崩了，哎呦，没有机会。枪械的劣势太明显了 ，Ram 再打一个 ，Ram 确实是左轮，我觉得这2天比较亮眼的选手，但是整体来说没有什么机会这一分。1比4。
It was a Marshall. It was a Marshall.
Okay, never mind. Okay,
yeah, Korea bought a Marshall and he picked it up, I think, off Korea. So.
Yeah. Okay, never mind. If that was an operator, you get that kill, no matter what. You don't allow Echoes to peek like that. But Marshall, okay, now I understand. But now the operator is in play. NIP finally have some credits that they can work with. Lucker still trying to keep that operator dream alive, and so far it hasn't really worked out. You know, we talk about Ascent being a defender-sided map. Well, Fish123, they're having a good attacker side, and it seems to be just the difference in playstyle. You know, they find these open picks. But look at this. It's the same thing that they were doing against the Party Parrots. It's the fake towards A, a lot of utility use, 3 members committed from NIP. But on the opposite side, you have Fish123 gathering information, or at the bare minimum, setting up a potential
拉克裸体大狙，这本钱越玩越大。拉克，哎呦被淹了。这一分 NIP 的拼命啊，不是 NIP 现在有点搬命的意思，你知道吧？就是这种大枪局就直接下重本。哎，被标到了吗？没标，还好没标到，还好没标到。标到对面就直接搜把大刀伺候了，我只能说。还行，那边至少暂时拉克是保留了自己的位置。这个位置给了拉克机会啊，漂亮。这个位置也不是特别好拉复活，你要下墙。而且说实话，就没有要过来拉队友的意思。现在准备爆 B， 对面 B 点是有2个人，其中一个包括带大招的瑞娜，漂亮，打了第一个掉包。第2个呢，哎，打不过，直接开 E， 哎，舒服。拉克再狙一个，织毛球也有帮到队友，拿到对面最后一个位置信息，直接穿。Scream 也倒地，那这样的话这一分拿不到了，漂亮啊！这边 Rina 的这个大招利用非常典型，就是我先打死一个，然后我对第2个枪，我对得过我就对不过直接吃一溜号，可以选择性的去吃球。那跟上来直接秒完之后直接拿球的好处是什么呢？就是你可以有选择性啊，你不一定要第一时间吃球，因为你球也不是说无限吃的，这不是吃多少人游戏。2比4啊，这一分终于拿到，在扳命之后，终于拉克可以买奖了。不容易。谢谢 Hot Wiz 的15个比心。Hot Wheels 应该是。拉克这么拼命，现在也就4-4啊，我只能说也是挺惨的。拉克再次 A 小探身，哎，对面这边直接丢了个牢笼，这位置没有差很多，对面这个位置应该是在墙后面。另外做了很多声音，那边 Scream 是一个高架无人机，能不能往高点看一眼？哎，看了 Scream 这个头 ，Scream 真的不要考虑退的是吧？拉克还在 A 小在看， 因为 A 大有2个队友在帮他看，所以 A 点暂时也没有那么大的压力。Hip 在加的方向准备随时做机动支援，同时在中路呢，我感觉 Hip 有想偷一个的想法。啊，没有吗？还没有。哎，看到你的腿，看到你的腿，哎，别溜了，见好就收，兄弟，见好就收，见好就收，直接减速，直接快加强，自己是一个滑闪墙，哎，太贪了，兄弟，哎呀，拉克尔，莫伸手啊，伸手必被捉，但是这边菲尔斯回敬了一个大招，两边4H 都倒地啊、但是不同的是 Fish123 4H 倒地之前是拉了一个复活，所以现在是一个4打4忍术军师。Hip 现在不知道去哪，中路对面来喽。Hip 是放脚步的 ，Rabi Hip 也听到了，先织网球拖时间，2个织网球都用来拖时间。Rime 在混自己的牢笼，2个牢笼，有看到那边消息。哎，但是时间有可能下包不够了。Scream 1换1，点上下包了吗？下了。Scream 被致盲，但 Scream 躲在了里面。这个位置 Hip 没有致盲了，还好这边 Kriya 是对枪对赢 ，Echoes 也被 Hip 清掉。2打1，兄弟。有一个这个有一个这个探测键，但是探测键没了。现在对面会从哪边走？同边，2个人直接大跑了。Hip 被打掉27滴血，没有任何烟和闪了，应该是 Echoes。哎呀，这个 Kriya 的压枪，哦呦，差点出现了大问题。15滴血，3比4。这一分就会来很要命啊，很要命。
Long enough to make it worth his team's while, but NIP keeping it close, 3 to 4. The scoreline, of course, and we are past the halfway point of the first half. NIP starting to lay on rounds now that the gun rounds are coming through. Double op now in play, and we'll see how that makes a difference. It's often made a big difference on Ascent. A lot of long sight lines that can really not go your way. And we'll see where Firoth ends up setting up. Lucker has been consistently looking towards that courtyard, and Firoth, I don't actually think plays towards some of those aggressive peaks early. I think he's just going to hold the site B, going to be his choice here, as he'll set things up for himself.
4比3，这一分 Fish123 应该还有钱。哎呦，Lucker 错失了一个能够先带掉一个人的机会。
Be prepared for their lurks towards the A site. So. Just gathering information for now. Fish123 like to play it slow, like to take their time with it. Spike is in nobody's hands.
包现在在 B 外这个很远的地方。现在是一个单人 Hip 手 B， 拉克尔又想在 A 小偷鸡摸狗。这边在漫长的观测之后 ，Fish123 选择走 B 了，我感觉中和 B 估计是，但是拉克尔在看中路的位置，但他没有看直接看转 B 大的位置，但他会不会去看一眼啊？不会看，那对面已经进 B 大了。现在看 Hip 跟 Kriya 2个人的抗压了 ，Hip 有2颗致盲球，这2个致盲球也就会拖很多时间，但对面现在还没有出动静来了。探测键没有扫到 ，Hip 先右侧丢一颗致盲球，正面无人机，这无人机来得及吗？被抢了，但无人机拿到一些信息 ，Hip 哎呀，这边 Kriya 打了一个 ，Hip 没有打掉，那这样的话 ，Scream 2颗头帮助队友能够进点，2打3，2打4，我觉得这一分 NIP 可能要保了，运气不好。
So Rime and the Sage, they're backing off of the play. Him and Lucker have too much equipment to bring into the next round. You've got that operator and you've got the Phantom, and with the cash left in their pockets, they can also help flesh out a buy for anyone who's a little bit low on money, more specifically looking at Kriya and Firoth. So the round will go the way of Fish123.
Yeah, 1900 credits going to be entering into their pockets in the round to follow.
这样的话，这一分是保到2把枪，对面也没有来缴枪的想法。
As we near the end of this half, every round becomes a little bit more impactful round after round when it comes to the economy. And so for Fish123 to have a soft cushion that they can land on in case they lose a couple more rounds in the remaining 4, it's great for them. They want to get as many rounds as possible on a half that they feel a little bit more comfortable on. Once we get to the defense side, though, I'm really going to be looking at both teams to see what level of comfort they feel on the side that they're on, right? So for Fish123 going over to defense, how comfortable are they holding off against the craziness that is NIP? And vice versa. Are NIP able to push in a team that will spend utility to stop you from
Echoes 一个小船骗对面一手，
We'll see once we get to that point. So
让对面有可能进了 A 大。
standard opener.
那进攻方看一下中路 ，Locker 有位置 A 小，这才会不会探出去？在这位置也被惩罚过，应该说。来了 ，Locker 的巨大考验。对面不是一个人，不是一个人在战斗，先一个无人机在战斗，减速球丢了，然后退一退。但个致盲要丢在Locker脸上了呀。 哎呦，他这个位置有可能躲开欧文的致盲，欧文丢烟了，哎，漏了个缝吗？这个烟没封好。哎，兄弟，哎呀，这烟 Echoes 封差了呀 ！Fish 大招 ，Hip 丢致盲自保一下 ，Hip 的致盲球成了保住了自己，保住了 Rhyme 暂时这条命，但是对面又丢技能 ，Locker 被打掉 ，Scream 进点，再打致盲球 ，Scream 3打4 ，Hip 想要进点，清点那4点。 卡在棚子旁边，一个点清。哎呀，这边直接被 Link 架了一个90度角 ，Feroz 被查到了位置，那感觉没机会了。这波又要保枪，还有无人机，这无人机要干嘛？要强打吗？没有机会啊！枪实力也是啊，不是枪实力也是，一开始瞄的位置就不对，非要9滴血。
over towards mid. It is another round on the board for Fish123.
Yeah, not good looks here for the side of NIP. They're trying, but at the end of the day, in a lot of these
拿掉6比3。
Fish123
上半场再次是 Fish123 取得领先。
got great usage of their utility, but in some of these cases, I'm finding that they're just winning the gun duels or winning the swings, and that does not have a lot to do with the utility that is actually spent. In some cases, if you flash and you get a frag, well, I mean, that person couldn't really see. If they kill you through the blind, then that's great. But they get the utility, they find one, but then they push forward and they still keep finding more and more and more. And now, that puts NIP in an awkward scenario. They're deciding to force up, and I mean, you have to respect this call considering they save on the second last round, and then the last round they'll buy. So they have no choice but to force up here. Spectres and Bulldogs and varying tools on the tool belt. Fearoth unfortunately peeks and looks up the wall, but they're not there.
手卡直接打掉一个 Locker 想拉复活，这分是个大分，不想丢。啊，丢了大量的技能把对面赶走，拉了复活。但是直接手法大招完了呀！哎，哦，这居然能保住！我以为一定会被这个手法大招穿死啊！ 他刚好穿到2个目标，有一个是 Omen， 有一个是 Sova。Omen 是交了小船，啊 ，Sova 是跳开了。哇，这还可以哦。但是现在还是3比6，而且对经济上来说也是 NIP 比较劣势。
He peeks with the bow out to fire a recon dart, and Kriya was just having a hard time tracing that target, couldn't quite connect. So a bit of a missed opportunity there. For the defense of NIP, Fish123
这边
they love this B site. We've seen them go there.
差点被脚下的这个技能烫死。
There's the dark cover down.
这个 AY 其实是做声音的，哎，完了，受骗了感觉。哎，结果对面真的来了这个位置，那 Locker 这个位置将会很艰难，但是没有第一时间死 ，Kriya 跟 Echo 做了一个1换1 ，Locker 把自己奶回来，那么把对面放进点好了，4打4。对面漏手，哎，这个位置舒服。摄像头看一下 B 大没有人，但是脸上有个电弩 ，Feroz 倒地，手卡再打一个 ，Character 再打一个，那就只剩下 Rhyme 自己了。Rhyme 看了一会儿摄像头，队友全没了。他看的那个位置是对的，他提防 B 大是对的，但是，哎，完了，实在没有赢的理由。Scream 直接拉出去干拉，3杀。
For NIP, Fish123 put out feelers across the map, but they almost always end up finding success back on the B site. And it's not necessarily with a split push. It's just primary B main push. It seems like time and time again, that's how they get into the site. They just come through B main. Scream 12-5 currently for Fish123 as the breach.
You know what I love about Scream is that in certain instances you might ask yourself, is the player good or is the player good on the agent? And I think Scream is just both. You know, obviously he's coming from CS, and he's obviously got the
被闪 ，Ryan 回头，哎，没有机会啊，黑布自己也被打掉了。哇，对分完了呀，这非常强起的。这上半场如果被打上一个9-3就炸了呀！哎，这位置 Socas 跟那边对枪，打急了呀，感觉。这一分好像是一个强起局，还是一个有啥意啥的，有啥起啥的局。拉克这个位置想躲也没地方躲，被闪了。非常轻松的一分。对 ，Scream 这边被那边多了一个侧脑。哎呀，这边还在丢技能，中路苏卡斯已经摸过来了。NIP 这个防守，如果是比如说，哎，不过无论如何，我觉得4-8也挺糟糕的，只有很糟糕和非常糟糕的区别。现在。
What teams should we expect to see compete at a high level once we get to global play and not just regional? So once we get to land play and we can see the European teams face off against some of the North American teams that we've gotten a lot to see, who are going to be the teams that put up a good performance? But just be realistic, bro. I live in NA and I'm watching both regions. NA is stronger at the moment, and that's the fact. Later in the game, this will probably change, but not right now. You're talking about TSM like the Wardell is only good player there. The fact is Drone, Sabrosa, Brax, AZK, Ska, Crashies, Tens, Wardell are better than 99% EU players. Thank you, chat, for that one. 8 rounds on the board for Fish123.
直接 breach 大招，哎，这个大招往后蹦了1寸，刚刚好，但是位置上被扫出来了，完了，被活穿死。Korea 打了一个，队员没有下包，还不错，还不错。但是 Korea 自己也死了，2打3，拉克的一个架枪，致盲球下去，一个叫自己隐身，哎，但是被 Link 炸到，那这样的话 Link 一个3杀结束了上半场，9-3。哎呦，这个9-3，NIP 走远了呀。
It's not looking good. It's not looking good. You anticipate at least a fighting chance.
现在这个阶段感觉还是波动太大了。
Where they can really make it count, at least make a dent. They are
这个图确实 NIP 状态很低迷。
Attack. Let's see what they can do. You know, Fish123, if they're able to win the pistol here, it's huge. The repercussions of it mean NIP could potentially bleed way too many rounds and put Fish123 in a position to close out the series, and that means that NIP gets sent home. A team that statistically we thought might come through and make it to the grand finals.
下半场第1分，这一分基本上决定了 NIP 的生死，或者就暂时的是死还是生。
A big favorite, and so it makes sense to slot them in as a team that could make it to the grand finals. Well, we also thought NIP would be there too, but Fish123,
这个位置看到那边露头了。
I feel like they've really gotten comfortable in their own skin and have really started to come alive, and we're seeing great strategies, great use of utility.
一个中和 B 大的协同。
I think communication's probably been the biggest win for Fish123.
也有可能转 A 哦，时间还是够的。
Earbuds tuned into the Scream stream. He's finding out that their communication is on par. They are like a solid, well-oiled machine. Maybe the agent selection needs.
Scream 那边被淹掉 ，RB。爆弹看一下效果怎么样？无人机啊没看到 Scream， 但 Scream 也被抢掉了。啊，这边 Scream 马上被 Hip 打掉，带领上面 Link 也被带掉。Socas 打了一个，打2个 ，Hip 把他打掉。那这样的话还剩最后一个 Cryptic 在点外面，很尴尬。跳也不是，不跳也不是，被发现，50滴血。 这一分应该抹得了。
NIP
NIP 至少能够目前获得一个活下去的机会，但是我觉得这张图一开始其实味道就不对啊。一开始第一分手枪分也是这个 NIP 拿掉，然后 Fish123其实强起之后拿到了第2分，那分就拿得很诡异。也就是说，这张地图一开始是个1-1，这个其实就跟一般的地图不太一样。
Look at this hold from the back of sight inside. Just what are you supposed to do there? NIP are now staring down the barrel of a 5-round deficit, but at least they can get things moving in the right direction. How does Fish123 respond? Of course, you're going to see the full buy come through from both teams. That's just what they do. That's how these rounds go. So we've got the SMGs, we've got the judge. The judge obviously being the one to watch out for. That's, I think, in the hands of Eccles over on short. You've got Cryptics with the Stinger back behind the boxes on site. There's the recon dart going in, and that's going to give away his position.
这个位置侧脑 Eccles，
Oh, no,
这一分又强起了，这个就是那个123 Fish123。 但是这一次起好像有点问题。对面下包，而且是一个3打2。完了，这一分好像起出问题了。这一分应该没了。这还能看到脚的吗？哎，这人拉克这个人是不是有问题啊？这还能修脚？不过枪比较劣，也不是劣，就是没有什么优势。Link 小 A 小再试一下，但是。 没有什么机会。那这一分拿掉 ，NIP 有可能能再追1分，因为对面应该没什么钱下一分。下一分可能 Fish123要 E。那如果 E 的话，然后如果正常拿下的话，就是6比9的话，我不会觉得说完全没有机会了。这个 Fish123还是跟上半场一样，落后1分选择强起。谢谢韩欧的15个比心。
In the second half, there's not much that we can look at. I think Riot will look to fix it. They're obviously aware of the issue. Next patch is July 21st, so expect that to come quite shortly. As we are now looking at some of the weaponry online for Fish123, looking like another force, which could have some serious repercussions in the round to follow.
哦呦，鸟居
Even make anything work with some of these guns, but Scream has to back away as he's being pushed up through.
双手茄子是什么鬼啊？
A heavy mid presence right now from NIP with 3 players grouping up.
一个
Cryptics is around the corner. The shotgun gonna work out well.
没有清4点的时候，这把单喷还是很猛的。这个 Bucky 啊，剪刀手不是剪刀手啊，就是这个是引号的意思，这是引号的意思。哎，这单喷收益有点高，说实话。这个换人头对于 NIP 来说其实不是很好接受，虽然现在是人数优势，但这一分对面一个半亿，然后把自己打成这个样子，其实挺伤的。Korea 应该能捡到枪吧？ 就是引号的意思，两只手都做剪刀手的意思是引号的意思，就是比如说我在说什么事情，比如就是一个名词的时候，就引号的意思。也可以理解为剪刀手，没有问题。3人手包，看一下 Fish123的2个人什么想法？感觉好像不是很想回防，想要截杀。 哎，中路有人想摸出来，还被打掉。Korea 对枪2对赢，但是这边 Cryptic 打掉一个，这边被 Lucker 最后收掉。这样的话6比9。Fish123自己在落后第1分的情况之下呢，这第2分选择了一个起枪，也是收到了苦果。这是引号的意思。
Anticipating some pistols, unless by some magical feat they have enough credits to buy some assault rifles, which, you know, if we had the scoreboard, we would know, of course, but once we cycle through some players, we'll be able to see what they actually have. Pings are starting to come through, and it does look like NIP are looking.
长方了一个大枪分，这分将会非常的大。拉克直接起大局了，他没有再换甲，他是33的甲，这是上一回合留下来的甲。中路架狙，王者王是中路放空 ，A3 B2。 进攻方往中路逐渐施压，往 A 小走。A 小这边 Bridge 丢技能，哎呦，看到人有点多，直接跑。这边无人机飙到了 Scream 的位置，还好没有 Sova 的大招。A 小的门关掉，进攻方。现在没有正式的进哦，把门打掉。Korea 这边 A 大被狙掉。哦，不对，好像死在 A 小的位置，但是这边 Hip 这个 MP5 打了半天，终于打掉。2换2， 2换3 ，Cryptic 在脚下的位置没有被清掉。这个位置 Cryptic 被电弩打残，但是 Cryptic 这个4杀，哎呦，伤啊！就这一个人在点下面。
Fish123 finally hit double digits here on the defense.
I'm just laughing at that because
知道他的位置，但是枪马对不过，这个真的没办法。电弩也丢了，有打掉伤害，但是最后对象还是失败了。
Just so many frags that he was able to find hiding down in hell, and then at the end he ended up picking up the operator. But these are some passionate players that we've got here in Cryptic.
6比10 ，Fish123还差2分到盘点，也是赛点。坦克剑打掉，往后撤。这边 NIP 是有 Sova 大招的，看下有没有机会开个无人机定一个人的位置。这边一个致盲丢在了中路。
They're anticipating a standard B push from NIP and they're prepared for it. Let's see if that ends up panning out here.
往中路做了一点假动作，但实际上 B 点还是有3个防守队员，而且开了一个无人机。无人机第一时间没被打掉，尴尬。
B main currently the missed shot on the Al drone initially results in a dart in the neck of the Sage. It'll give away that position, but it's the only player they spotted. Again, it's a full B main play coming in from NIP. You've got Cypher right around the corner.Using his camera opposite him, so he's in that.
B 加淹掉 ，Rina 开大，这波要正式爆弹了吗？致盲打掉 Link， 但4点的 Cryptic 怎么说？4点的 Cryptic 跟家里面的 Sogas，Korea 把 Cryptic 打掉，但是这个 Sova 大招 ，Echoes 也在狙。Hip 虽然开了大招，但是刚才吃到技能。而且包掉到了远处 ，Hip 这边打掉，再次隐身，时间非常紧张了。脸上有人，哎呦！但来得及吗？时间上，哎 ，Soka 最后一个1杀2。11比6，而且我怀疑 NIP 没钱了。
NIP gonna lose another round here, and Fish123 get closer to closing things out 2-1.
Listen, Fish123, they had a good read on the setup. 3 committed towards the B site, and in most cases, you want a lot more hovering around the middle and, quite honestly, towards the A site. But this is where their read kind of does not go their way. 4 committed towards this A site, anticipating NIP to switch things up a bit, but they've been hitting B consistently throughout the attacker side, and they still have the weapons to tango, so they'll start to push in. It's the camera that has not spotted them out quite yet from the side of Cryptics.
这边 B 大对枪，哎 ，Link 对失误了，没对赢。这个多少有点没想到，单向烟，但是 Cryptic 也在被反穿。对面直接拉点了，哎呦，这是不是有点小看 Cryptic 了？致盲之前 ，Cryptic 又刷掉一个，哎，拉克马上拉复活。只有一个爆 B 点，这次爆进去了，而且，Ram 这个左轮打掉了 Scream 了。这样的话，好歹还是拿到了人数优势，交一个 Cypher 大招，拿到了这边最后2个防守队员的位置。这2个人应该要保了。经济也不好，说实话，没有那么好，应该是。
Again, would love to take a look at the scoreboard, but there is currently a bug. So I know I've seen some people asking, hey, scoreboard. There you go. That's the bug. We can't do anything about it. It only shows us the top 2 performers for each team. So Korea's at 15 and 13, 17 and 10 from Solkas. We talked about it at times. Not necessarily the top performer. It's not that he's bad. It's just that he's not that guy you necessarily profile as being the player to put up big stats for this team. But here, having a great game thus far. And it's 7 rounds on the board for NIP. Fish123 again, very close to that finish line.
7比11，对于 NIP 来说，如果能够一直把对面停在11分，当然是最好的。不让对面拿到赛点，这只是理想情况。
They may find that the defense will be quite handy for them, but this time I like the play. They're playing towards middle, something that NIP have not really done a whole lot of. And once you give up control of the middle, you'll start to get pinched in. You are seeing now Korea try to adapt and at least have a little bit of
vision towards
the center there. And now as
Racker 要加强加上去，
you're seeing the
没有吗？
with the recon bolt. That's a very
谭泽健拿到了3个人的位置。
and give a lot of information as to what might be occurring here right before their very eyes. On the opposite side, however,
这3个人的位置其实很关键啊。
from the side of NIP, sending out some feelers towards the A site. On there is, of course, Cryptics and Scream, and you do not want to mess with those two, so carefully peeking will be kind of the name of the game, as they're just gathering some territory as they push forward for the rest of the team to start to rotate over. So the read from the side of Fish123,
要扎到
they may need to start calling some of those
有点尴
rotates
尬。
out earlier, as they only saw hip in the fish market, and as a result, you ask yourself, well, where are
进攻方向报 A，
NIP? Where are they going? Where
4个人
are
报
they
A，
going to end
现在
up?
发送上没有这个信息。
He's got a very safe camera placement.
这个摄像头干嘛？
Doesn't actually tell him if they start
哎
to push forward. That's going to be the
哎，这位置，
has now been given, and unfortunately,
哎呀，但是队友有补强，1换1 ，Scream 在高台上被打掉，
be there for the refresh.
弹点已经空了。哦，
Directly
这个
after
SOVA 大招很要命，这是一个盲视，我觉得。
arrives at the crime scene, but there are bodies on the floor.
但他就预判说你 Cryptic 就喜欢藏在这个位置。
That is the risk of playing that position, playing in hell. When the ult gets popped, there's not much that can be done. Echoes looking for a lineup.
想穿射没成功，被底下反穿。Lacker，
It's a response of
一
fire
穿高
from，
让你穿我。
after the recon
你不是想
bolt
你不
will
是想
give
穿
away
我
his
吗？来，
position. So now it's
全退。
Solcus who picks up the op, and he realizes, let's get out of here. Pull the ripcord.
2打
It's time
4
to
宝箱。
bail. Great take again from NIP.
我感觉 NIP 像脚枪啊。
Fight for control of this third and final map. Both teams slugging it out currently, but it's NIP who's
林肯
getting
直接把
a
B 大
couple
抢掉了，可以的。
successful jabs in a row.
哎，这位置，
Lays down the wall
哇
to save
，hip
from the Reyna, even though he catches hip
哇，
into a
这
magazine, he
这有点
still
打击
ends
人
up
啊。
losing in that one-on-one exchange.
Zocaz
Here's the
也
shot
是
coming in from Solcus
空
as
枪，
well.
但是这个位置
Not
对面不太好
exactly an
穿
op。player, so now he's just trying to hide in the back of sight, and he'll be able to do that successfully. The op will come into the next round, and it'll get tossed over to Eccles. But what does the buy look like for the rest of Fish123?
Yeah, they had a couple of rounds where they were at least able to keep things cooking and keep things alive. And on the opposite side, you are now seeing Economy not in the greatest place. They saved the operator, but that might be the only thing that they are going to be using to great succession in the round at hand. Everyone else on some pistols, which means potentially another round for NIP. But considering we haven't seen Fish123 on pistols that often, really, the map previous, they were in the driver's seat and never really had to drop down to an eco round. And so now we are experiencing a tactical pause. Maybe NIP need a little bit more time to get their bladders cooking and let it run through. From what I hear, they drink a lot of water. So these tactical pauses, as these games can run quite long, are pretty important to make sure that you are in the right mindset.
Yeah, they took a tact.
暂停，
in one
我也要
round.
喝水。
So not sure what the reason for the pause is here, or who it was called by. Again, given the scoreline currently and the situation that both teams are in, it could be either side. Fish123 could be taking a timeout to talk things over and say, okay, listen, we got to talk this out. We got to figure out what we're going to do because we're starting to bleed rounds here. And the last thing you want to do is let NIP on double digits. So this is a massive round coming in for Fish123. If they can find a way to secure this as a victory, get on that 12 point, they can relax just a bit, knowing that they've at least guaranteed overtime. And on the opposite side, you could see them saying, okay,
这个
yeah,
暂
we
这种
won a
暂
few
停
rounds in
是
a row, but
这个
don't
还
get
是
cocky, don't get too
tactical
confident.
pause，这个不
Because
是
this is still
technical，
the
这
same
个是
team
战
who
术的。
found themselves on 11 rounds in the first place. This is still the same team who dominated us
不
in the
过讲
first
道理，
half.
我也不知道他们一个
So
战术
let's
暂停是，比
continue
如说
with
给
our
多少次
slow,
或一次多
careful,
长时
and
间。
methodical approach. Let's not get into our own heads and let's play the game we've been playing all half.
You know, considering how much of a lead Fish123 had coming into this second half, both teams obviously want a chance at the grand finals, you know, and regardless of which team ends up falling, still anybody's game now at this point, considering we've seen NIP start to come alive and really bring some rounds back in their favor, really close that gap between the two teams. I think both teams can confidently say they are one of the best in Europe. You know, there's not really a whole lot of space, but when you and I return to our roots back to NA, there's a lot more teams at the table contending for the best. And here we are quite honestly looking at some of the best teams in Europe. And so regardless of which one falls out in the semifinals, you can still expect these teams to bounce back and come to the next tournament swinging. But now that the pause has run out, Eccles unfortunately drops off of the boost, does not see anyone in the smoke going to come out. And I like this play from Fish123.
中路加大局 ，Hip 只有致盲球，但是没有致盲到 Eccles 这个位置很危险。Hip 这个大跳，这个大跳真的是大心脏兄弟，小船 Eccles 片面对面的脚步。
Now NIP deciding where they want to head on over. So far, they're just huddled around the middle here.
对啊，这个打完是 G2 跟 Needball DM， 但理论上来说那场应该比较 G2 是比较大。不要到。Solkas 为什么拿了个？有这么穷吗 ？Fish 的经济比我想象当中要差。Eccles 撤到了一个不知道第几个点去架狙。 致盲没有致盲到，有机会。哎呦，兄弟，你以为你致盲到了，但实际上你没有。但还好，就其他人还行。哎，点里面有个 Solkas， 点里面有个单门，这个单门，哎呀，致命空枪。这样的话，3个人进点，下包，3个人回包，而且 Feroz 这个位置他们可能不知道。
Firoth is actually over in Cubby next to the door, so that dark cover towards B main not really going to make a big difference. Lucker is here waiting for the peak to come through.
小船，
There's the port to get across.
小船直接被打死。Feroz 藏那个位置够了，这个位置干了，没有拉掉，有点可惜。但 Feroz 来补枪，这个位置电弩 Scream 1打2，难度有点大。他知道那个位置有人，但他不正好看到。哎，这个位置丢技能，哎，但是。 这个时间不够的，我能理解 Scream 为什么掏刀，因为时间不够，他往前挤。
And the money for Fish123 should actually be really bad here. So this is a chance for NIP to hit that double-digit round.
Wow. You know, coming into this, I thought Fish123 had a lot of momentum. You know, Haven, of course, did not go their way. Probably the way that they wanted it to go. But now that we're seeing the weaponry really rough for the side of Fish123, they're just trying to keep things as competitive as possible, and it hasn't really been working out, to be quite honest. The first time NIP are looking towards the A site, and there is only Eccles there already with the Bucky Cryptics, of course, holding on.
拿了一把鸟狙，好像。 刚才那一分，再打完他这一分应该更穷，确实没什么钱。Feroz 直接把 Eccles 打掉。对，下半场都有 bug， 他们现在上半场没问题，下半场有 bug。Cryptic 短喷在 A 小喷死了一个脸上的人。上半场能看到，下半场看不到。这样的话下包，而且这个 A 小被抢掉了，很难受。 就在自己脸上下包，自己无能为力。这也15的30个比心，但是 Link 拿手枪点了一个，这个3打3有 Bridge 大招，而且把自己奶起来，要不要兄弟丢个大来？对面应该大部分人都在点上。Cryptic 来了，但是 Hip 也开了个大，而且 Hip 还有2颗球啊，先丢1颗。Lucker 大狙先架了一个，这边致盲也致盲到，再狙一个。 只剩最后一个在蛋点旁边，但是哎很难受的人。Hip 这个大招感觉开的是给队友助攻的，他是开了大招，然后给队友压血线以及那个丢致盲球，但说实话这跟大招好像没什么关系。 但是现在NIP把比分追进了，我只能说。而且我想一件事情，刚才有没有留钱啊 ？Fish123有没有留钱啊？留了。Fish123刚才是半起，然后留了下回合的钱。那就这一分是个大分了呗。这一分赢 Fish123赛点，输 Fish123被对面追平，而且自己 ECO 就大概率对面是先12比11。哎，这边吃了一个技能。 死了个 Hip 有复活，但是不是很好拉。 这个位置有点深，强行拉了。哦呦，这个位置拉的能跑吗？能跑吗？能跑吗？往那对穿，这个位置两边都有想法。电弩打的血不多，拉克在看，拉克在看这个缝。这个缝啊！拉克这两枪，这两枪太关键了。谢谢子猫的牛皮。这两枪 ，Link 看能不能还两枪。拉克在看那边的这个位置，对面出来，但是 Link 一个小身位把拉克打掉。那这样的话，这个 B 点要硬打吗？选择把对面的 Link 这个位置淹掉。现在是一个4打3的优势人数，但少了 Sage。想转，加转，再转 A。两边的 Cypher， 两边队友位，这边菲尔斯扫死自己33血，但是可以先确保点位是安全的。但是中路 Rhyme 被截胡，还好是包是成功进了 A， 而且这边 Link 是被对面的 Sofa 大招有所驱赶。菲尔这个大招其实交的有点浪费，但是也还能接受吧。Link 这位置没有想到，但对面也没有想到这一枪闪狙。哇！2打2 ，Link 拉复活3打2。对面只有一个欧门大船 ，Keep 应该也没有技能了。大船取消，应该有看到一些信息。拆了一半 ，Keep 直接一个1穿2，要看队友了，漂亮 ，Korea 最后没有辜负队友的期望啊。这子猫牛皮和大雪豹，谢谢。11-11，而且 Fish 要 E 了 ，Fish123肯定要 E 了，肯定是没钱的。我不信他们有钱，因为他们上回合是半亿，然后这个留钱。哦呦，这是什么玩意儿？这一枪也很离谱啊，兄弟！但是黑布这个1穿2太关键了，这个死前1穿2，哇 ！Keep 大踏步的压中，因为知道对面应该是没钱的，对面有人在往外走，但是没有吃到。哎呀，这一分是选择强起了，没有 E， 那就是要么就是站着死，也不是要么就只有站着死跟就直接赢。要么就站着死，要么就是站着赢，因为他们这一分强起，就意味着如果是对面拿到12分，自己是一个很穷的状况，去迎接对面的赛点。我只能说拼一枪，自己现在的甲跟枪是比对面要劣的，但是劣的不多。中午丢烟，包离得很远 ，Scream 的技能交差不多了，因为这一分他们应该本来就没有太多钱买装备。Scream 这边已经只剩2个 Q 了，2个闪，再丢一个，那就还剩1颗闪。金箍猫的技能肯定是比你多的，道具肯定是比你多的。Korea 在 A 点打掉一个 A 小的人。这应该是 B 外打的 A 小啊，一个非常远距离的对枪。中路，哦哟，中路，在一个劣势对枪情况下 ，Feros 拉掉了对面的头。5打3，只有一个 Cypher 打的可用。现在 Fish123 Link 打了一个 ，Keep 这个点端掉一个，这个位置 Rhyme 杀完了。哎呦 ，Rhyme 这个3杀，弥补了队友犯下的错误。12-11 ，Fish 可能真的没钱了。我现在虽然看不到经济面板，但是我大概猜得到 Fish 现在的经济应该非常窘迫。如果他们真的刚才是把所有钱都花出去的话，这一分可能什么都没有。NIP may not even need to take us there. They might just close things out here. The economy, not sure what it looks like for the side of Fish123. 你虽然切不了 Type 面板，但是让我看一看对面拿的是什么呗。切到对面的人手里，我就知道对面拿的是什么了。这边肯定不缺钱 ，NIP 肯定富得流油。对面是什么钱？关键是所有人可能都是满道具。经济方面的大优势，拉克尔直接架中，非常大胆的一个前突架中，方中丢了一个中路烟。中路要摸了，这个烟是一个后置烟，中路打算摸了。 防守方，苏卡斯是一个半甲加 bulldog， 这就意味着别人比他还要猎小船，但是有飙到人传音，没传到，好像传到几滴血。这边 Scream 是个裸体 Phantom， 因为实在没钱了，实在没钱了。这个右下角4000先不要看，不可能有4000的，他不可能在这个时候留4000块钱，他脑子没有问题。他也没有4000块钱，他哪来的4000块钱？这个右下角4000是 bug。Scream 是个裸体啊，这个对枪100%是劣势，就只有完了，这个位置要被对面堵脸。大船的 Echoes 这个位置致盲，出去想要刷，但是这个位置一个都没刷掉。哎呦，这个情况不是特别乐观。Echoes 最后带了一个人走。苏卡斯的大招穿了一个 ，Link 打了一个。NIP 2打3，1打3。Hip 打了第一个空了，探测剑 ，Hip 的位置很烈，换弹，而且也没时间了。那这一分拿下，然后下包这没有机会。12比12加10，哇！这一分在非常烈的枪械情况下 ，Fish123把比赛拖入了加时，双加时，这就很难说了。但刚才这一分，我真的觉得 IP 打得不好，打得不好。这个 A 小 RA 的效率太低了，而且被一个归功于 Echoes 啊，归功于 Echoes 那个致盲太关键了，他一个人拖了很长的时间，而且最后是1换1，那怎么着都是赚的。索克斯现在21杀0跑，21杠14杠7的数据。这一场确实 Scream 挺低迷的，说实话。当然，两边这一场的话还比较平均吧，除了 Ram 有点惨以外，9杠19。